Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is me, Curly K Glam, and I am here today to just do a little intro, y'all, because I found this new show that I'm like totally like so enamored by, and the name of the show is called Swagger. It is on Apple TV. It is currently on its second season. I just found out about it on Instagram. And immediately by the trailer, I was just so smitten because it was something that was near and dear to my heart not that long ago, because I'm only 31 years old. So I was just so enamored by the show, and then of course Quavon is in it, so gotta support her. Like, she's a young she's a young actress. She's black, like, and is telling a story about something that's near to my heart, and that's of course basketball. Now, here on my channel, I start off doing hair and I do TV reviews here and there, but Swagger, I don't even know what to say. Like, Swagger has just made me like so emotional. It really has made me rethink a lot of things that, I even went through in my like adolescence to my young adult years. And I haven't really talked about sports like that on this channel. And I'm coming to realize, like, even after watching Swagger, how I just myself shunned sports like when I was done. And sports played such an integral part of my life to this day. The thoughts, the way I think, everything was shaped by basketball. And so with Swagger, I found myself reliving a lot of the moments that were on screen, even though the story is about a young player named Jace Carson, but it's also telling the story of a young female basketball player named Crystal Jarrett. And so I think I'm going to be doing reviews on this show. I'm also probably going to incorporate some personal stories with the show, because not only do I like to watch TV for entertainment, because I would say watching TV is probably my favorite pastime, but at the tender age of 31, I also am trying to find balance in, cultivating myself with other things that are good for me, such as reading, taking time to read the Bible, and I'm learning Spanish because I feel like that's something that's important to me now. So I try to make time to do things with, that are helping to shape me and build me up. But I will never, I can't say never, but TV is just something that is like my escape. I get to escape into a whole new world. But with Swagger, it's kind of like escaping to a world, but my worlds are meshing with TV. So yeah, y'all, I done talked for almost 4 minutes about Swagger, but Swagger is such a good show. If you're not familiar, right now I think on Apple TV they give you a week of a free trial, and then it's $6.99 a month. I'm not really sure what other programming Apple TV has, but Swagger is a good show. It's a black show. It is written and directed by Reggie Rock Blythewood, who is the husband of Gina Prince Blythewood. And if you're familiar with Gina Prince Blythewood, she is the director and the creator of the infamous movie Love and Basketball, and now the great movie Woman King. So I was so excited because once I saw Blythewood, I'm like, he has to be related to Gina. And so, of course, they're married. They've been married since 98. And if you know or have listened to Gina's interview or interviews in the past, Love and Basketball was based off of her life. And Of course, anybody who have hooped in the past, like if you come from a hooping background, Loving Basketball was like one of those basketball movies that you had to have seen and you thought your life was gonna be like, because I was definitely one of those. And I believe her and Reggie were both basketball players actually. So the show is great. All of the talent on the show are current basketball players. So there's no actors, well, it may be some, but majority of the actors on this show actually hoop, like, and come from a very like hooping background, and they're also learning how to act. So yeah, so I did go through, and okay, before I say that, currently Swagger is on season 2. This week on Friday will be season 2, episode 5. There is, I think, 8 episodes this season in season 2. Season 1 had 10 episodes. I did binge watch everything in 2 days because I was just so smitten by the show. I'm telling you, like, it was just that good to me. I do think that I'm going to start off currently in season 2 with my reviews, and then as season 2 goes along, I will still upload my reviews and my thoughts on what the episode made me think about for season 1. So just stay tuned for that. But right now, I just started my rewatch of season 1. I just started episode 2 of season 1. But I'm just going to talk about the first episode. And it was called, first episode, season 1, episode 1 was called NBA. This episode came out swinging. I'm not even going to lie, because it's telling the backstory of Jace. It's also building a foundation between 2 important characters, which are Jace and Crystal. They're growing up best friends, boy-girl best friends, kind of similar to Quincy and Monica. The show is very reminiscent of Love and Basketball. As somebody who has watched Love and Basketball and can quote lines and had like scenes, like pictures from the Love and Basketball movie on a Facebook page. That was like one of my first profile pictures, was like probably Love and Basketball, a picture, a still from Love and Basketball. Like, Crystal's room is pink, the bed, the white bed, like the stuff she has on the wall, like the pink wall, like the way her room is set up, it's very reminiscent of Monica's room. The only difference between Jace and Crystal right now on episode 1 that I did notice was that they do not live next door like Monica and Quincy did. They live across town, but right now they both are in middle school. One thing that I did also notice, one thing I can tell you right now is, at the time, I think season 1 was currently filmed probably starting in 2019 or 2020, and the season came out in 2021. So I think because of the pandemic, the way the filming and the way things are arranged, the kids or the actors on the show did start off looking younger, and by season 2 you could tell that they had matured. So I'm thinking maybe the show started filming sometime in 2019, and currently we are in 2023, so that's 4 years. So in between season 1 being on TV, which I think the first episode dropped in 2021, and then the season 2 dropped June 2023. There was 2 years time in between seasons, well, in between the episodes that we saw. So I just did want to point that out, because I think at the time in 2019, Corvon Janae might have been, she's currently 19. So in 2019, she might have been probably 15 or 16 years old. And then Jace is currently 20. So in 2019, when the show probably started filming, he was 16 or 17 as well. So the show does start off with them being in 8th grade. They're both play basketball, and they're both playing on a 14 and under AAU team. And so it's basically following the AAU circuit. I, for one, did not get to play the AAU circuit because at the time when I was growing up, AAU was too expensive for my family to afford. So I played rec ball, and I played, ball in middle school, and I played ball in high school. But Jace, one thing that I did notice about this show is the amount of pressure and the amount of it is so sharky in basketball. There are so many sharks in the basketball business and just in the basketball world, period. And it's just the amount of pressure that they put on these young children it's starting as young as 8. People are being recruited for a class to be in the NBA in draft years that are 10 years from now. Jace was a 14-year-old. His mama is a single mom. She's a single mom of 2. She has an older daughter. Chase has an older sister named Jackie. And his mom goes up to a coach. The coach was named Ike Edwards, who was played by O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son. And he was a local legend or a local celebrity. He was very dominant in men's basketball around 2007. I think he led his team to probably 2 or 3 championships when he was in high school. And his career didn't pan out. I think he got a scholarship to Georgetown, but he ended up, I think, quitting school, and so he didn't go pro. And so now he's working in a local home improvement store and to make a living. He's married. He has a baby on the way, and he is the coach of a 14 and under team called SP Grind, which stands for Seat Pleasant Grind. He went to school at Seat Pleasant High School, and so right now Jace and his peers go to Seat Pleasant Middle School, except for Murphy, who is the Drew Murphy, who is the white boy. I think he goes to what's that school they end up going to? Cedar Cove, but he might be in middle school at Cedar Cove. It's not said, but So Jace wakes up every morning at 4:45 to go running up a hill. His mama wakes up, his mama trains him, make sure he stays fully in shape. The show starts out with Jace sitting at the table with his father, and his father draws a maze on a piece of paper, and he tells Jace by the time he finishes the maze, his father will be back. Now, knowing what I know now, based off of me watching it the first time, I'm seeing things that I missed. So I paid attention to the maze the first time, but the maze and a maze is just very symbolic throughout the show. When you're in a maze, you're trying to find your way out. The goal is to find the exit. You start and you end. And so to me, the maze that is present in Jace's life is all of the curves and all of the stops, all of the walls, everything that he is going to encounter, but he's trying to find his way through because the end goal is to get to the NBA. And so he is in a maze right now, and it starts at 14. And then once we get to season 2, the season starts off at 18. But the season starts off with it being, I think, a day after Jace's 14th birthday. And so with it being a day after Jace's 14th birthday, his mom basically gets him to join a 14. And okay, y'all, my phone cut off because it got too hot. But like I was saying, the show starts off with Jace joining the team SP Grind. Ike is having some financial issues with the team. His mama has walked up to Ike at his job and asked, could you make Jace be on your team? I mean, it's a lot going on. My son is the #1 player. he can help lead your team to championships. She knows that Jace needs this exposure. I did see online, reading under a couple of hashtags on Twitter, on Instagram, and on TikTok, that a lot of people thought that his mom was toxic. I don't think his mom was toxic. I do believe that she just had a vision for her son. She knew that her son had a vision, and what she did was she got behind his vision and made sure that he stayed on task. Was everything that she did, helpful to Chase? She did what she thought was best. I don't think everything, that she did was in Chase's best interest sometimes, especially like when it came to Ike trying to help Chase become a team player, because Chase was 14 years old. He was smelling himself. He was full of ego. He thought he was the best thing smoking, but then Ike had to kind of bruise his ego a little bit, had to put a little that grown man game on him. And so basically Jace ended up losing, and so it went viral on the internet, and so he kind of had his ego checked a little bit. But I don't think his mama was toxic. I do think, a lot of people lack discipline. And when you have a goal in mind, not saying that you can't have fun, there needs to be a balance, but you must remain disciplined at all times. And I feel like especially in American society, a lot of people lack discipline. We say a lot of people are hard on their children, but you have to think about Serena Williams and Venus and Serena Williams' dad, King Richard. He had a vision for his daughters. He might have been hard on his daughters, but his daughters are two of the most successful players in tennis right now. You have to think about Michael Jackson and Joe. A lot of people might have disagreed with Joe, but Joe knew that his children were talented, and Jackson 5 ended up being one of the biggest groups of all times, and Michael Jackson ended up being Michael and Janet Jackson both are some of the greatest entertainers of all time. A lot of people talk about Matthew Knowles and how, the things that he had with Destiny's Child, but what he saw in his daughter in Beyonce. Beyonce is now one of the biggest artists of all time. So it's something to be said with discipline. Whereas everything that those people went through that I named, did some aspects of that discipline probably hurt them some? It did, but there was more good done than harm. And so I just feel like, were there some things need to be changed that she could have done better? Yes. But as a single mom, she had that grit, she had that grind, she had that aggressiveness that Jace needed to remain focused. And he was also very thankful to his mama. There were multiple times throughout both seasons where Jace went to his mom and said thank you for everything. Another thing that stood out to me was that when they did play the AAU team all day, when they were playing team all day, the coach, there were two coaches. There was one coach named Meg, and there was another coach, I can't remember his name, but he was very rude to Jace. And I understand that basketball is a sport that there may be trash talk, but when adults speak trash and try to hurt the mental of children, that's where we had to cut the line. And I understood completely what Ike was saying in the AAU coaches meeting and on the court, that these are kids. We know that, this is a business, and the goal of business is for it to be profitable, but at the same time, at what expense? Everything has a cost. They were coaches who were supposed to be invested in children's lives, and a lot of the coaches would take advantage of the children and their talent, would tell them things, would promise them things, would gas their minds up, to make it seem like they had everything best with their best interests at heart, what really they was trying to profit and gain success off the backs of the coaches. Now, you do come across a coach like Ike, and Ike is very special because outside of the business, he does care about what the future of his children hold and his players, and how he can have a positive impact on his players' lives. And I feel like one of the main reasons why this is important to Ike is because Ike grew up playing basketball and his father was his coach, and he doesn't necessarily feel like every need that he had as a player was met at times. And so he makes it his job to make sure that he does best by his kids. And there was a scene where Ike punched the coach from Team All Day in the face because he didn't like what he was doing to the kids. There's no need to mentally break down the kids. It doesn't help build character. Trash talking, now, it's one thing to be tough on them. It's one thing to expect, a certain amount of performance from students and players, but it's still a fact of trying to break them down. And breaking them down wasn't it. And there was a lot of times throughout this journey with Jace where they tried to break him down, but he had to learn as a player mental toughness and how not to let the thoughts and opinions and all of the negative things and even the positive things that are being said about him affect the way he plays. And one thing about a good player, it doesn't matter. And that's what a lot of kids who are good, I feel like their heads get gassed. Yes, they're good. Yes, they're talented, but talent isn't enough. Talent isn't enough. There was a quote that my coach used to say all the time: hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. In order for you to do both, you have to be talented and you have to work hard, because there is somebody who may not be as talented but works hard to improve their talent that can be better than you, outplay you, outgame you, outsmart you. Not only can you have to be talented when you play basketball, but you got to be smart. You got to learn how to read the court. You got to know where your players are on the court. It's a lot of things that go into. It's outside of just memorizing plays, And so Ike's job was, okay, Jace is talented, but how can I coach Jace to a point where he improves and he dominates, and then he creates an environment where other people on the court dominate? You know what I'm saying? Not only, because a lot of people like to bring up Michael Jordan in the Bulls, and that Bulls team was an anomaly. Like, when you have a team, the chemistry on your team is important, and that's another thing that Ike made sure his team had was great chemistry. All those boys band together as brothers, and they decided at the end of the day, outside of all of it, we are there for each other. We might have disagreements, but we're going to have to be there for each other. And that's another thing that I'm going to bring up when I review the movie Shooting Stars, because I did watch the movie Shooting Stars last night, and I do want to do a review on that movie. That movie is about LeBron's high school basketball team. But yeah, I don't know why my camera keeps cutting off. I just don't know. But anyway, I'm going to get this first episode review done. You have to create an environment where you're able to cultivate players, and everybody has to be able to dominate, period, point blank. It don't matter. There's been plenty of NBA teams that had a good player. I mean, the player was fire, but the player didn't have the support on the team that he needed. He wasn't able to strengthen the other players around him to make him be good. There's nothing wrong with being a role player. And I, for one, myself, coming from a role player, I knew my role. If there was a guard or somebody on my team who was better than me physically, the most we could do is link up. How do you want us all to be on the floor? Because most of the time I played the 3 and the 4 when I play basketball. And if you don't know, that's just a forward position. Whether I would go from small forward to power forward, depending on how big the lineup was or how small the lineup was. But I was okay with being that role player. But let me tell you something. There are a lot of good role players in the NBA right now and in the past who got rings because they were able to cultivate a chemistry on their team around a star or 2 stars. And let me tell you something. To this day, I still talk to some of my teammates on a regular basis. There's nothing in this world. I'm telling y'all now, like, that bond that you create with your teammates, that's something that you never lose. And I'm so grateful that I was in a position to even go through something like that in my life, because teammates do become family. You spend a lot of time with them at practice, at games, out of town, in town. You spend a lot of time with those people. And to me, I have made friends as a regular person, outside of my athletic years. And those relationships don't come close to the feelings that I felt, those euphoric feelings of when I had my teammates, the times in the locker room, the times when we were just sitting on the bench. It's just so much. And so many positive and good memories. Even to this day, like I was telling my husband, like, and he used to laugh at me at the stories I used to tell him about when I was in practice. And to this day, when somebody do something that I don't necessarily agree with, I be like, baseline, get on that baseline right now. Because anytime in high school, when we weren't doing right in practice, my coach didn't say nothing but baseline or get on the line. We gonna run. And we did something called 39s, where you used to have to run full court. The court is 94 feet. Full court, down and back, 3 times in 39 seconds. I was in military shape, y'all. Like, me and my teammates was in shape. That was the best shape that I've ever been in my whole life. I don't know if I would ever be in shape like that ever again. I used to could play a full 32 minutes. Because in high school, our minutes were, I think we had 8-minute quarters in high school. I could play a full 32 minutes and I get tired. Legit. I could play a full 20 to 24 minutes and I get tired. Period. Because we weren't that good of a shape. We had 35 seconds to do a full suicide, and we had to be back on that line, and we was doing it again. We had 24 seconds to do 2 down and backs. And if we was not back on that line, we was doing it again. To do a full down and back up and down the court, we had 10 seconds to get back on that line. And let's not talk about 17s. 17s is from sideline to sideline. We had 1 minute and 17 seconds to run 17 times down and back. But I'm going to tell y'all, like, stories. There's just one story, but, like, there are going to be stories. Like, and for Crystal, we don't really get much for Crystal the first episode, but we do see that, of course, her calling Jay Scrub, like, another memory. Definitely got called Scrub, but with guys, like, because, that back and forth, that rivalry between girls and boys basketball is just untouched. All girls who played basketball at one point was that one girl who hooped with all guys. I was Crystal. I could see myself so much in Crystal. Like, I was that girl who was on the court roughing the guys up, out there falling, getting cut up, getting scraped up, bleeding, brushing myself off. Like, I had those guy-based friends, you know what I'm saying? Where they come and talk to me like I was one of the guys. Like, to this day, like, they was all scared of me too. Like, they knew I ain't take no jump. And I won't, and when we got in high school, it won't know, oh, I'm gonna try to crack on Kayla. It won't know, oh, well, I'm gonna see if I could, run game on Kayla. Because, boys around 14, 15, 16, they start smelling themselves. The girls start, oh, he played basketball. The girls start getting giddy over the basketball players. They couldn't run game on me. I knew, and they used to tell me stories about them girls that they used to run through. But, you know what I'm saying? Like, y'all, just euphoric. I'm gonna come back with episodes 2 and 3. But another thing that will forever be like a theme is Chase leaving his room touching the NBA sign. He started off with the maze, drawing NBA on the back of the maze. He kept it, and Chase's father never came back after he gave him that maze. And so he left at 4 when Chase was 4, and then when Jace turned 14, Jace told his sister Jackie, it had been 10 years since my daddy gave me this maze. And so he flipped the maze over on the back and put NBA and tacked it to his wall, because that was his goal. Every day he would walk out his room and touch that. And then eventually he acronymed NBA for Never Be Afraid. And that was something that he always kept up with. So, yeah, y'all, this show, I love it. I really do. And I am so excited to bring y'all the content around my first love. And as you hear Musa and all the guys refer to basketball as their girlfriend, basketball was my first love. I ain't gonna say basketball was my girlfriend, but I was definitely one of those that was married to the game. And even looking at like the stuff they wear, the slides, the shorts, the hoodies, everything. And I just, oh my God, one thing that I wish I did not do is got rid of my... Okay, y'all, so my camera cut off again. It's too hot out here, but you know, it's the South, like it's hot. So you hear my air conditioning right now, but I'm just gonna go ahead and finish up the video. The one thing I was saying about this show that made me think was like, I wish I would have never got rid of my stuff. Like, I'm coming to terms with the fact that like I went through a bad breakup with sports, like, and I went through a bad breakup with sports for a long time. And you know how like you feel like you gave your all to something, and it just didn't work out. Like you put your all into a relationship and it just did not work out, and so you just pack up everything that remind you of that situation, and it's gone. I mean, it's like, y'all just don't understand. Like, I'm laughing because it's funny, like how this show is making me come to terms with like stuff that I've been running from. Like, I've had opportunities to coach and everything, and I just would not do it. But you know, this may change some things for me, you know, because I'm a jack of many trades. Honestly, the Lord has definitely blessed me with a lot of talents, a lot of gifts, and out of fear, I just don't be using them. They just be laying dormant within me. So not only is this gonna be a review, but it's also gonna be a lesson for me. Like, it's crazy, like how just life, in the words of Kavon Shanae and Isaiah from the interview, life be lifing sometime. And like, I went through a bad breakup, and I got rid of everything, like the jewelry, the necklaces, the only things that I still have of me in basketball is the trophies, and I got my shooting shirt from high school. I don't have none of the hoodies, I don't have none of the pants, and it ain't like that stuff, like, because I probably, if I did grow a little bit taller, I grow a little bit more taller, but I don't have the hoodies, I don't have anything, but I probably got some basketball like themed t-shirt. Like, I'm gonna order all my stuff back. I'm gonna order my volleyball necklace back. I'm gonna order my basketball necklace back. I'm gonna get my number on my charm on my necklace back. I'm gonna start rocking my stuff, because there's no need for me to, like, and it's not somebody who's trying to stay. And I don't want this to be confused with like the stuff that I'm getting back, but it's just memories, stuff that you can tell your kids, stuff that are symbolic. And I threw my symbols away, so I need to replace those symbols with things that are close to it, like my chains. But I just feel like this, when I'm going through, I'm not trying to relive those not relive the memories, but I'm not trying to like not move on from my glory days. But this is me acknowledging those days, my old, just like how they had those old 11 basketball, things that happened in the past, and how they currently are shaping the future. But these are things that are going to be odes to my past. I'm going to get a new chain with that was my basketball number, and I'm going to get a volleyball chain and a basketball chain, because those were the two things that I dedicated my years to, and that's gonna be my ode to those things, and that's all I'm gonna have. But just a little background, my favorite team was the Detroit Shock. I might not remember everything about that team, but the best player on that team at the time was Swing Cash. I had my aunt make me a custom Detroit Shock jersey. I know y'all who might be a little young, Detroit Shock is not a team anymore. But my favorite player of all time was Elena Beard. She wore the number 20. She played for Duke all 4 years. She ended up getting drafted by the Washington Mystics. and she stayed with the Mystics for a while. I think she might have played on the Sparks some a little bit. And then I wore 20 for a while. And then when I got to high school, 20 was taken because somebody else liked the later beard. And so I took 25. And at the time, like, I wore 25 because Monique Curry was another Duke player that I really liked. Monique was like the GOAT to me. At the time when I first got to high school as a freshman, 25 was not taken. So I wore 20 and 25. I wore 20 in middle school. I wore 20 like, you know, when I played basketball in other places. I wore 25 my freshman year, and the way it was set up was varsity got to pick their jersey numbers first, and then JV had to get whatever was left. So that year I got 25. And then my sophomore year, there was a girl who transferred to my high school from out of town. And that year she wore 25. And so the next number I ended up getting, y'all are gonna think this is funny. At the time I thought it was fire because, of course, like I said, I hooped my whole life. I was obsessed with little basketball. So of course your girl rocked that number 32. So I rocked 32 for my remaining 3 years in high school. And yeah, so I'm gonna get a 32 chain made. Yeah, y'all, that's my review for episode 1. I don't talk too much, but I just want y'all to stick with me and, you know, watch Swagger, bruh. Swagger is a fire show. The writing is fire, bruh. I hate that this writer strike is going on. Y'all need to pay them people, pay them actors, pay them writers, pay them, because we get this good content. Like, I don't want to wait another 2 years for season 3 Swagger. I don't. So y'all, whoever out there in Hollywood, y'all need to get it together. Get it right, get it right, get it right, get it tight. Period. But yeah, y'all, like, comment, subscribe. I'll be back with more videos. My next my next review for the show will probably be a cluster of episodes. I just want to do episode 1 and 10 standalone episodes by themselves, and then the other episodes in between episode 1 and 10 for season 1 will be in the group. So yeah, y'all, like, comment, and subscribe. Stay tuned, and I'll be back with more videos. This is